and we are at a guy that I didn't think would even be employed by the Detroit Lions this year, but here we are. Jared Goff, the former Ram, now entering year 3 with the Lions. The hot potato contract is part of the Matt Stafford deal, but he has done well. He surprised a lot of people. It's the highest you've ever ranked him. He was 19 the summer of 2019 after the Rams reached the Super Bowl. Man, that's disrespect. After the year the Rams reached the Super Bowl, you only had him at 19.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Lions fans get upset. You know, they're drinking the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid about Jared Goff. I think you and I both recognize there are limitations there. He's got to be managed the right way. He's got to be directed the right way.
That's right.
If it works, it works. But
right.
There's always that looming chance it's going to fall apart.
Yeah, well, I think you're saying it right. You know, last year definitely his best season, right? That's what I would say. But there's limited upside. There's more talent than he gets credited for. He's not the guy that's going to carry the squad like you're talking about that way, right? And we heard Ben Johnson last week. He made a comment. He said, yeah, we left a little meat left on the bone. Hey, Jared Goff played really good, you know, but yeah, this is still a big year for him. But here's where I give him credit, Mike. One, he's tough as hell. You know, he's one of I always say a handful of guys in football who's big enough to throw over the line of scrimmage, right? So when people are in his face and there's not a clear lane to throw, he's big enough, he can adjust his arm angle and get it up a little higher to go, wait, I can still throw the ball to the guy that's 8 yards over the middle, even though I got 2 or 3 defensive tackles bearing down on me with their hands up. So I give him credit there. Then he's got an above-average arm. That's the one thing. I mean, he's not afraid to throw the ball into some tight windows and be an aggressive decision maker. That's the one thing I like about Jared Goff. He certainly has changed his game in that aspect where he's not looking for the dink and dunk or let me find the easy 5-yard completion. His frame of mind, his thinking there has changed. And he is more aggressive and pushing the ball down the field, and that's where, you know, I do love the positives about Goff.
But, you know, you do wonder, and
Yeah.
Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, said that last week about leaving meat on the bone. They have higher expectations. And when you look at the things he said, right, who's the one most likely to be the subject of that criticism? The guy distributing the football. Leaving meat on the bone isn't, the running back tripped and fell 7 yards into his
Exactly
effort.
right.
It's, we should have thrown it to this guy instead. Yeah, you threw it to that guy, and he gained 15 and a first down. If you had thrown it to that guy, it would have been 70 and a touchdown.
Yes, I think there's some of that. I think there's, this guy was wide open and, you know, we missed the throw or didn't throw it accurate and he had to, you know, go down to the ground and catch it or whatever else there. That's where, you know, again, I got a lot of respect for Jared Goff and what he's doing. And he has changed the way he's playing the position a little bit. But I also would argue with like the Lions fans who think he should be higher than this. I go, you know, the game is really set up in a way where he's got a ton of talent around him. They have a bad defense. So there's always a green light to just be aggressive. And they didn't have a bullseye on their back. This is where it'll change this year. You know, teams are going to take note of them a little bit. They're going to have a feel for how Ben Johnson calls the game and defending them. And they're not going to sneak up on people the same way. And that's where there's going to be a little bit more of a bullseye on him. He's a below-average athlete, as we know. For this day and age, you know, he can't really run or extend plays at all. I wish he would do it more, right? I think there's more that he can do in that department, even though he's not going to be great out of it. He's not a, you know, throw sidearm, do all that stuff very much. He's not great off his back foot, okay? But never a distraction. That's one thing you could say about Jared Goff. And he's tough. He leads the team, and he plays a style of football that I think they want to play, which is, like I said, an aggressive stand in there and make some throws into some tight windows, and he had a really damn good year last year in Jared Goff.
On Friday, while you were in your hammock, Miles Simmons and I talked about Josh McDaniels, the Raiders coach, saying he has no anxiety about Jimmy Garoppolo's situation. So we did a draft of coaches who should have anxiety about their quarterback situation. And one of the guys I picked was Dan Campbell, just because can we really will Jared Goff to the next level with all this pressure, with all these expectations? Can we get him to be more than we expected him to be when we traded for him? Because I guarantee you when they traded for him, they looked at it as we're taking on the contract, we're getting a first-round pick, we'll tread water for a couple of years, and then we'll have our answer. And their answer, unexpectedly, to many is, let's just keep Jared Goff. It's a reasonable contract the next couple of years. Let's see what he does this year. So what's more likely? Goff is playing in the divisional round this year with the Lions, or the Lions are looking for his replacement, possibly a guy they already have in Hendon Hooker, come next year?
Man, I'm gonna say that I think I'm gonna err on the divisional round. I think that's where I'm gonna go. I guess I have too much belief in the team, and I do think Jared Goff has turned the corner from his McVay days of everything being served on a silver platter, where he's gotten a little mentally tougher, and like something we've talked about before too, Mike, and like knowing like wait. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to throw to the wide open guy, but sometimes the open guy in the NFL, he's open by 8 inches, and you got to throw it in there. You know, it can't always be Ben Johnson or McVay just dialing up some play where it's like, oh, here he is. Nobody's in the screen. Just hit him. And I think he's adjusted his gauge as far as what's open and what he needs to stand there and throw, and that's where I'll have some confidence in him, and I'm going to bet the divisional round if you make me take one of those two.
I'm going to go the other way.
All right.
And I understand it's a great story. The Lions have been downtrodden for so long, but they're self-inflicted wounds. They have been one of the most dysfunctional franchises in all of sports for 60 years. And I know that it's changed now that Sheila Ford Hamp has taken over as owner, and Chris Spielman kind of quietly behind the scenes helping craft the kind of team that he would have been proud to be on, in his image, in his likeness, with that grit, with that toughness. Dan Campbell, the perfect hire for that. I just feel like there's still something. The gambling suspensions, it speaks to a flaw somewhere in the organization. I had someone tell me recently, and it makes a ton of sense. If you got a bunch of students getting Fs on their report card, at a certain point, the teacher is to blame. And this failure to read the riot act to 4 guys who violated the gambling policy, the failure to get their attention, to get them to understand you can't play football if you break this rule. It just tells me there's short circuits in the broader structure that are still there. Just because they had a crap start last year, they got hot down the stretch, that doesn't erase all of the issues in that organization.
Yeah, I hear you.
And the gambling suspensions are a manifestation that there's still something that's not right. And I know it's not a popular take because everybody's all drunk on the Lions now. But that's something to keep an eye on, Chris.
Yeah, I hear you.
They haven't resolved decades of dysfunction in 1 year, in half of 1 year, which is all we've really seen from them that's been different from what we're used to.
No, they look like they're going in the right direction. I think that's what we're all pleased with, and it looks like there's some real possibility for them to be something. But I'm with you in the fact that I got to see it to believe it too. You know, I'm hopeful, but yes, it's a different type of pressure they're going to be dealing with this year, and I'm not so sure they can answer the bell the way we all think they can either. And yeah, I got to see it a little bit.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.